We welcome you into the season preview for Carlow University softball. Sean Meyers joined by the fifth-year head coach for the Celtics, Glenn Zinsmeister. Glenn, first off, thanks for doing this again. How's everything been with you?
My pleasure. Everything's been great. Getting excited to head down to Florida. We've got about 40 days plus, not much. So.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone's looking forward to getting down to Florida, certainly here with Western Pennsylvania weather. Before we look ahead, let's look back though. Last season, your team won 11 games, 5-21 in the River States Conference. How did you evaluate how the season went?
We struggled last year. At the end of the season, we sat down and tried to decide really what that struggle was from, because we actually finished strong, and we finished, I think, in a special place as a team at Du Bois. Even though we didn't attain what we wanted to at Du Bois, we were really close. And I think we really played well as a team up there offensively, defensively, and we pitched well. We lost by a run, a walk-off late in that final game. Looking at the season, though, whenever you think back, and I hate to be a person that uses everything in life as an excuse, and it's really not an excuse, but last year was our first year that we really had full-time school, full-time softball, in-person school, all of that stuff. And I felt that during the season. I thought the girls were extra stressed. For the team last year, that was the first year that they had to do that. And I thought we lacked the ability to prepare and get that out of our heads, and we allowed that to affect us on the field. And, it showed, obviously, in our performance and our record.
Maybe speaking to that, what was the area of focus for improvement throughout the offseason?
So I think, again, we spent a lot of time. We do one-on-ones with our players before and after every season. So we spent a lot of time really listening to the girls. We made some adjustments to our workouts this year, not drastic adjustments. In fact, in my eyes, I think we kind of made them maybe a little bit harder. We added some early morning stuff, which we hadn't done in a couple years, with the idea of maybe adding some accountability to that and increasing their time management as time goes on. From the skill perspective, we're still focusing on the same things. The fundamentals, the basics of hitting, the fundamentals of defense when we can. Obviously, we struggle in this weather to do that. We do what we can inside here and at our time at the bubble out at Green Tree. Our pitchers continue to work on what they need to work on. Try to focus a little bit more on some of the mind part of the game as well, and try to review that stuff instead of making the assumption that the player just knows it off the top of their head.
So we know primarily games are in March, they're in April, but there's a long season that precedes that because a lot of these young ladies are playing over the summer elsewhere. They also have to compete in the fall and stay sharp. How important is that for the work to then produce success during your season?
I think it's important for them to do that as much as they can, but it's also interesting to watch. I think usually what you see is freshmen and sophomores come in probably a little bit more prepared from a game perspective right off of the bat, because they have the opportunity to still get repetitions in the summertime. Where our juniors and seniors, when they get to that point of their career, life starts to get in its way a little bit. They're getting ready to make that step out of their university setting into adulthood. And they're starting to do some of that stuff, along with the fact that 23U teams in the summertime are just not, they're few and far between, and they really don't play a whole lot. So the opportunity for them to get a lot of repetitions really has to be self-created by themselves. So, that it's vitally important for the young players, still vitally important for the older players, but they have to work a little bit harder to get that experience.
I would think it's a very positive thing that you graduated very few players from last year. But amongst the group that did move on, what will you miss most about them?
I think just all three of them, just their attitude. They all brought a different perspective from an attitude perspective into the game. We'll miss that, and we'll look to replace that with our next group of seniors and our next group of leaders of the team. So they'll be missed like all the other teams prior to them, but we'll look to learn from them and move on this season.
Well, talking about the players coming back, some of the veterans, obviously, who do you look at as the key returners as far as the batting order goes?
Offensively, I think some of our key people offensively, Hannah Gallagher, she'll be our starting left fielder again. Hannah year over year is very, very consistent. Morgan Nedley will be at shortstop again. I mean, Morgan is a steady 300-plus hitter and brings that edge to the game that I think people can learn from. Then we have a whole group of really young players, some freshmen that played last year. We have obviously Fran Bailey at second base, Megan Pollinger, Claire Niglio, Elena Mintz, Maddie Bowes, all people that contributed last year at the plate and defensively as well. We did also add, we actually have a graduate player this year based on eligibility that still remained. We added Paige Zigas, who's going to play outfield for us. She's a two-time captain, starting center fielder for 3.5 years at Allegheny College. So she brings a level, I think, of understanding and maturity to the team that'll be welcome, and it'll be a nice addition from a leadership perspective as well, even though somewhat non-formal.
As far as the circle, who are some of the pitchers who return?
So we have very similar pitching staff to last year. We didn't lose any pitchers. Morgan Pierce will certainly. She's been here. This will be her fifth season, and she'll lead us. She is a bulldog, grueling. Give me the ball and I'm going to throw it kind of pitcher. And I think I look for her to have a really successful year, carry us a lot. Claire Niglio obviously is a junior this year. She struggled through some injuries last season and really her freshman season at the end. We're kind of hoping that we've put that in our rearview mirror, and we'll watch her. Amanda Hu is a senior this year. She brings the spinning of her pitches, which she throws such a wide variety that sometimes can really throw a team off. So we'll look to use her in good places. Megan Pollinger pitched well for us last year. We expect for her to continue that success as a sophomore. And then we have a freshman, Tatum Wiggs, comes to us from California. She played really strong for us in the fall, so we expect some good innings from her. And Sam Trussler is another pitcher as well that we added. She's a sophomore, but it'll be her first year on the team with us, and we expect to get some innings from her as well.
Well, you just mentioned one of the freshmen, and I know that you return a lot of players. There might not be as much opportunity for some of your first-year players, but what do you expect from that group as a whole?
I hope that they initially at least start to learn what college softball and college athletics is all about. And then we look for them to engage, continue to hone their game, and be ready to play either in a spell or even a starting. I've never been afraid to start freshmen, and I always tell them that when we walk in. So at the end of the day, hitting will get you on the field and defense will keep you there. So if they hit during their opportunities, they will get more opportunities, and we'll play it out. The trick to this season is really to understand how grueling it is. 7-inning games, during the season you're usually playing 6 of those a week. That's more softball than most of these young ladies have ever played in their life. We need all 20 plus on the roster to help us get through that, and we need to be able to spot play them when we can to give maybe our starting team some rest. So,
if all goes according to plan, what will be the strengths of this year's team?
I think we're going to be consistent in the circle. I don't think we are at a point where we have anybody right now that's going to shut anybody down in the circle, but I expect us to be a strong offensive team, and I expect us to be at least defensively where we were last year, which we had a pretty successful defensive year, but I would like to see us take a step forward with that and just eliminate some of our total bases. We gave up some bases last year that I think we, with a little bit more thought and focus on some things, we could cut those down a little bit, and that'll help us be more successful.
The River States is always very challenging. How do you evaluate the landscape of it this year?
I think similar to last year in a lot of ways. I mean, always, Rio Grande is always there as the team, one of the elite teams. I think we saw some teams last year take a step forward with Midway. Point Park is always, they're our rival. They're right down the road, so they're always quality teams. I think we match up really good with them if we play our game, and that's really what the question is. If we can keep that focus and we can keep our our anxiety and our stress from outside between the white lines away from us and focus on that, I think we can be successful with all those teams in the River States Conference.
Talking about the RSC, this is the swan song for Carlow moving to the NCAA after this season. What was your reaction to that?
It's exciting in a lot of ways. I mean, I'm not going to kid people. I've been here since 2012. I've made a lot of acquaintances and friends in the River States, and I will miss those people. They've become friends, mentors in some cases, and just colleagues. It'll be hard to walk away from them and not see them year in and year out. However, we're not going to kid anybody that the travel of the River States Conference is a grueling schedule. I mean, we sometimes are on the road 10, 11, 12 hours to go to the western side of the conference. That puts a toll on things. So I'm excited to see what that does to the team by removing that extra stress, if you will. I also am excited to be able to play much closer to home. It gives the family and the parents and the students here at Carlow an opportunity to come out and see us even when we're on the road, and I think that'll add something different to what we do every year.
What's notable about this year's non-conference schedule?
Well, we're going to pick up. We're going to play Pitt Greensburg this year and Mount Aloysius, which are both teams that will be in the AMCC conference with us. We've played Pitt Greensburg in the past in the fall, so we look forward to go out and battle with those guys this year, just to it'll start to set our mindset for what next year is going to look like. We still picked up a couple D2 teams this year just to challenge ourselves a little bit. We're going to go down and play Salem University early in the season, and we'll do the same thing down in Glendale. Both nice programs, really nice facilities. It gives us a chance just to go down and see what we have as far as those teams go. And then we're going to, we'll still stick around with Miami of Hamilton and Penn State Beaver, which are USCAA champs or teams, that gives us an opportunity to kind of measure ourselves as we, as always, hope to make the USCAA National Championship in Du Bois at the end of the year.
Fifth year for you as the head coach, but you've been with the program for about a decade, and the coaching staff around you has been pretty much the same your entire tenure. How important is that?
It's real important. I mean, the two stalwarts, Sarah and Allison, are here, and we know each other very well. They kind of know where I'm coming from, and I know what they bring to the table and where they're coming from. So it gives us a good, consistent opportunity. And then, we have a couple, Alyssa Fogel, who obviously played here. She comes in this year as a coach to help us out with our pitchers. She kind of brings that spirit of being close to playing the game. And then also we brought Kaylee Pistorius in, who also is a former player, also coached out at Plum at the high school level. And she's really brought a really nice, fresh approach, a fresh attitude. And she's kind of a CrossFit expert. So she's brought us a really nice workout session that the girls seem to have really embraced.
Let's talk about throughout your coaching career. How have you seen an evolution in the game of softball?
Actually, I think I've seen an evolution in the player more than I've seen in actually softball. Softball in this part of the country, I don't think has changed a whole lot along the way. I mean, we tend to be more of we're not a small ball. Like, you think about softball on the West Coast, they do a ton of slapping and a ton of power slapping, and it's more of a speed game. I think in Western Pennsylvania, it's more of a power game, and we play it maybe a little bit more strategically, like baseball in some ways. So the game, I haven't really seen the game. To me is pretty simple, but the players have changed, and what they expect, what their expectations are coming in, and what they expect to get out of the game, I think has changed a little bit. It's still nice to see here at Carlow. I mean, we have a really strong focus on academics. I think last year we had 11 academic All-Americans. I mean, our girls are really focused on getting that education so that they are able to take that next step in their life, but at the same time they're able to play this sport that they love and get a little bit of a release from the stress of school while competing in that sport. So
I think you just spoke to it with the academics, but what makes Carlow so special to you?
That's probably it. I mean, it's the we're right here in the heart of Oakland amongst all the hubbub of everything that goes on in Oakland, but we're kind of that little quiet secret on the hill. And I think the girls like that. They feel like they aren't just a number. They're an individual here that everybody knows, and they're a special part of what we do, whether that be academically or on the athletic field.
Well, Glenn, thanks so much for doing this. Always enjoy talking to you, getting ready for the season, and certainly looking forward to another great campaign.
Looking forward to us getting back from spring and seeing you behind us there announcing the games. Appreciate it, Sean,
That's
very much.
Glenn Zinsmeister, head coach for the Celtics, here on the season preview. We continue here on the season preview for Carlow softball. Looking ahead to the 2023 season, I'm now joined by one of the captains and one of the seniors on the roster, Hannah Gallagher, an outfielder for the Celtics. First off, thank you for doing this. How's everything going with you?
Thank you for having me. It's going good. School's going good. I have my job coming up, graduation, so I'm really excited.
And I'm sure one of the exciting aspects is you have one last go in softball. So before we look ahead, kind of talk about what the focus has been for you throughout this offseason heading into this year.
So my big thing is mechanics, focusing on hitting. That's definitely a big thing for me. When we're down at St. Agnes hitting, it's definitely focusing on the mechanics and working out the kinks so in the game so it flows easily.
So especially during what's often a condensed season because of weather, you're playing a lot of games, maybe as many as 10 or so in a span of a week. How do you keep energized and have that strength throughout the season?
So we definitely take advantage of our trainers, Jen and Daryl. They really do a good job of making time for us and making sure our bodies are taken care of. We usually like to rest a lot. We like to take a lot of rest days. And we also stay on top of the girls on taking care of their bodies, like eating, sleeping, and exercising when we have time.
What do you think your best attributes are as a player?
Coach Glenn likes to say I am a little too hard on myself, but I definitely think it's a good thing sometimes. I'm really determined to win games and focus on what I need to bring to the team.
Speaking about what you bring to the team, I know that it's always fluid, but where do you envision yourself in terms of your spot in the lineup, and where do you think you're most comfortable?
So I've always been a leadoff batter playing softball throughout travel ball and throughout high school. I was the leadoff batter. I'm definitely comfortable as the leadoff batter, but we do have a fifth-year senior, a new Paige Zigas. She came from Allegheny, but she is also like a leadoff batter, so I might be 2, I might be 1, so we'll see.
What does it mean to you to be one of the captains of this team?
It definitely means a lot. I feel like it's came so fast, but so slow at the same time. I feel like I was just a freshman, but it does mean a lot, and I'm really glad that Glenn appointed me that.
What did you set for the objectives for yourself and for the team collectively this season?
I definitely want to have a better season at the plate, and obviously on the field, but at the plate is probably my biggest struggle at the beginning of the season. Coming out strong is definitely one of my downfalls, so focusing on coming out strong at the plate. And for the team, I definitely want to focus on us having better chemistry as a team. I definitely think chemistry has a big thing to do with how we play.
So I already asked you your individual strengths, your best assets. If you were to answer that for the team, what do you think maybe the best qualities of this year's version are?
I definitely think in situations where we need a run or two, I come out and I do what I need to do for the team. I like to say that softball is not a selfish sport and that you need to play for your team. So say Glenn needs a bunt put down, I'm not going to argue with him about it. I'm going to do what's best for the team.
This team, and really in past years, it's been almost exclusively WPIAL players that are on the roster. There's a few from outside, but by and large it's local competitors. Did you have relationships with any of your teammates before you started here at Carlow?
Oh yeah, definitely. So when I started travel ball when I was younger, I started out at the Roadrunners, which I met my friend Sarah Mass. We've played together since we were 11, and through the WPIAL, I knew Clara, Megan, and they also played for the same travel organization that I did. They just played on a different team. And I knew all of the girls, but those are the only girls that I played against.
So let's go back. We talked about your high school days. You were in the WPIAL as well at Montour. But what led to your decision to come here to Carlow?
So I used to play against Larry Miller's daughter. Alyssa, and he would be at all of our tournaments. And he would always approach me and talk about Carlow and the nursing program because I always knew that I wanted to do nursing. But definitely nursing and the athletics and how understanding Glenn is with the academics.
We've had a lot of snow recently. I'm sure you're very excited to get down to Florida once again, where that's not going to be an issue. What are you most looking forward to on that trip?
So we were actually talking about it yesterday. We set a goal of at least winning 7 games out of we're supposed to play 9 right now, 10. We're supposed to play 10, but they didn't give us our extra game. But we definitely want to win 7 games. We definitely want to see what everybody brings to the team. I mean, we had the fall games, but it's definitely different when you're out in the spring, and I'm looking forward to it.
Glenn Zinsmeister has been the coach your entire time here. What are his best qualities?
Really understanding with the academics. I know probably 95% of our team is nursing majors, so it's really a good thing that he's a nurse and he understands that nursing school is difficult. And he also, in difficult situations, he has to make these really hard decisions, but he's really good at making those kinds of decisions.
Final thing for you, fill in the blank. This season will be a success if
we go over 500 in a conference.
Well, fingers crossed that happens. Hannah, thanks for doing this, and good luck for your entire senior season.
Thank you for having me.
That's Hannah Gallagher, outfielder for the Celtics, here on the season preview. We roll along here on the season preview looking at Carlow softball. I'm now joined by a senior pitcher, Morgan Pierce. And Morgan, thanks for doing this. How's everything been with you?
Thank you. It's been good. It's final year. I have a job ready to go, and I'm excited to finish up and play my last year of softball.
Well, you mentioned it's your last year. It's your 5th year. You decided to use that extra eligibility that was granted to you. What went into that decision?
So my freshman year, I really didn't know what I wanted to do with school, so I was kind of undecided, more towards nursing, but I ended up figuring that out my sophomore year, so then I took all my nursing classes sophomore year, so this is how, and then COVID happened, so then I got eligibility for my 5th year, because I was already coming here for a 5th year, I just didn't have the eligibility yet, and COVID made that happen, so I used it.
You pitched quite a bit last year. You went over 100 innings. How did you evaluate your performance?
So I just basically went game to game. I wasn't overthinking anything. I just thought I'm going to go inning by inning, pitch by pitch, take my time and do what I need to do for my team and keep the work going as I move on.
I know last year the record probably was not where your team wanted it to be. How did everyone handle that adversity?
I think at first, we were a little bit, we were clashing with each other, and it slowly evolved during the season. And then when we went to Du Bois, I think we just finally meshed together as a compact group and finally got that
continuity.
Yeah, continuity.
There we go.
All that we wanted all season long.
So I mentioned you're a pitcher for Carlow. So what pitches do you throw, and do you consider one of them to kind of be your best pitch or your out pitch?
So I throw fast, change, curve, and then a rise ball. And I would say either my rise or my curve would be my out pitch.
So in addition to pitching, you got a decent number of plate appearances last year. Had a pretty good year at the plate, couple of home runs as well. How did you handle the responsibility of both pitching and then getting a chance to hit quite a bit?
So sometimes when I'm hitting and sometimes when I'm pitching and hitting, I tend not to do good in one and not I'll do good at pitching that game and then not good at batting that game, or I'll switch it up. So I really focused this year on when I was pitching, I was doing good on the field for my team, and then when I was batting, I was trying to get my team members either farther on bases or just get myself on base. So that's pretty much how I think about it.
If you go back to when you first started here at Carlow, how have you grown as a player since then?
I think I've grown as a player is I just kind of took each year and whatever got thrown at me, I just took it in and kept going with it. I felt as freshman year, I was the scared little freshman that came in and I had no idea what college softball was going to be like, and now I'm helping my underclassmen realize hey, this is what it's going to be like. This is how the season's going to go, and I hope you guys are more comfortable with the season as we go on more than I was my freshman year.
Well, it sounds like you're serving as a leader and a mentor to some of the younger players. Is that something that came natural to you?
I feel like it did. I did a lot in high school when I was like older, like senior year. I would help my younger teammates kind of adapt to like playing high school softball. So I felt like that just came natural, and I did it a lot with my sister. Like, she would always ask for help, and I would always help her. So I feel like just leading came natural to me.
Well, speaking of your sister, you get a chance to play with McKenna once again, second consecutive year here at Carlow. What's your relationship like with her?
My relationship with my sister, we like to fight a lot. We are very close, I would say. She tells me what's up, and she tells me what I'm doing wrong and what I need to do better while I'm pitching, and that really helps me on the mound. And I felt like playing with her this will be my third year playing with her. I played once in high school, and then I got to play 2 years with here. And playing with her has just been like amazing because I never got to do that when we were kids. So
when you look at this roster, maybe your younger sister could be an answer for this as well. Who do you think will be a breakout player, or maybe a few different candidates for that?
I felt like we had a lot of talent come in the past couple years. I feel like most of our sophomore crew will have like their breakout season this year, such as like my sister, Megan, Fran, Francesca, and I feel like we have a couple freshmen that might have. We have Tatum Wiggs that came from California. She has brought a lot to the pitching like aspect of our team, and she seems like she's going to be a great hitter. So I hope we get to see her more on the field this year, just to see if she'll bloom a little bit. But
so to this point in your Carlow softball career, what has been your favorite moment?
My favorite moment was probably when I was a freshman and we were on our way to, I think, either Kentucky or might have been somewhere in West Virginia. And we stopped at a rest stop, and everyone got on the bus, and we were going on. And then all of a sudden we were looking around, and we couldn't find Olivia Hutton. And next thing you know, she's not in the bus. She's back at the rest stop. We had to pull over, and she had to meet us on the road and kind of run a little farther down, and then we finally got her. So, but yeah, that would probably be one of my favorite memories.
I'm guessing you made sure never to make that mistake as well.
Yeah, after that, we always made sure like everyone was on the bus, and we had head counts. That was like when the head count came in effect.
Probably a good decision. What game, or maybe multiple games, are you most looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to playing against Rio. That's always like one of the top teams in our conference, and I felt like last year we did go head-to-head with them when they came to see us. I hope that we could do that again this year and maybe win. I would also like to, probably Ohio Christian would be another one. I feel like they're going to be a good competition. And then WVU Tech and Point Park as our rivals, as always. But those are the teams I'm most excited to play against.
And lastly, what is your favorite aspect of attending Carlow University?
My favorite aspect is probably the community and just the people I've met here. Everyone's been so nice since I've gotten here, and that's pretty much it.
Well, Morgan, thank you so much for doing this. We appreciate you taking the time, and good luck this season.
Thank you.
That's Morgan Pierce, a pitcher for the Celtics, here on the season preview.